Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend so far. Today, hopefully, I'm going to be putting a smile on some of your faces. We're going to be diving into Cardano, and we've got a number of things to go over. We're going to be talking about the fact that Solana essentially has almost been offline for 72 hours now. This is a real testimony to the fact that Cardano is an extremely robust blockchain. We're going to dive into SundaeSwap, of course, as we know we are still seeing congestion. But given the high volume and the congestion that we're seeing, the blockchain is still running and working in the way that it should be. We're just not as scalable as potentially we want to be, but this is all coming down the line. Remember, the Basho era is the era of scalability, and that is what we're moving into, when we're going to see a lot of these problems get implemented in more of a longer permanent term. But we are also going to see Cardano blockchain do various things and implement various methods to sort of scale up on the layer one before we implement things like Hydra and so on and so forth. We're also going to be giving our macro overview on the markets and showing you something very, very interesting. Now, for those of you that aren't in the Discord, there's a link in the description. We spent about an hour and a half today, me and the Discord members, talking about a number of things, mainly the macro direction that I believe cryptocurrency is on and why I was reconfirming my bullish bias. And many people say to me, All in Crypto, how can you be bullish given the current market sentiment? Well, it's quite simple. I think if people had done the sort of due diligence and research within the crypto space and blockchain technology that I have, they would come to the same conclusion. And that is that this technology, these cryptos are very early in terms of being adopted. And with that comes a large amount of value. Certain cryptos are going to catch more value than others. And it really comes down to usage and utility and so on and so forth. So we're going to be talking about that, highlighting the fact that we still have this macro headwind from the Federal Reserve, which is causing a bit of a nightmare in all assets. You can see Amazon got slammed down today, and we've looked at this in our cryptocurrency daily market updates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly through some of the Cardano news that I have. We're going to talk a little bit about Solana and why, you know, it's proven that VCs, and we've said this to you from the start, you cannot buy a community. And Cardano has got one of the strongest, greatest, most brilliant and innovative communities that I've seen within the crypto space today. And I'm very happy to be a part of that. So I'm going to make my face a little bit smaller. And then we're going to dive into the video. So let's start by taking a look at this. And this is what days look like, this is what years look like, and this is what decades look like. Bitcoin is a very clear example of that. Now, Cardano only came around in 2017, but I think it's going to look very similar. And this is a real adoption chart that you're looking at. And I think, you know, the days, you need to kind of zoom out and understand that this is a year and decade long journey that we're on. And there's volatility attached to that. And you're seeing that right now. And Cardano's price is determined really not on its own fundamentals, but its own fundamentals do play a role in the fact that we are seeing quite a bit of strength for ADA where we're not seeing it in other markets. And this has fundamental reasons. Certainly, if you look on the 7-day, it is significantly mitigated damage in comparison with a number of other cryptocurrencies. And that's because there's a huge bullish fundamental reason for that, and it's also as well that it has sold off significantly prior to this, so there's a kind of floor that's coming to an equilibrium and so on and so forth. So that was just something to bear in mind. You know, this is something that I think we're going to continue on, and ultimately it's going to look like this. And this is what adoption looks like. The adoption curve that we're currently on, you know, we're very early on that voyage. Let's talk about the fact that Solana is seeing some real issues at the moment. Users complain about Solana's network being down for 48 hours. Traders are complaining about Solana's performance, raising questions about its status as a Wall Street darling. This tweet that I found from Thinking USD, first time I've come across this guy's channel, or this guy's Twitter. Solana is the perfect example of money not being able to buy a community. The Sol ecosystem sold out to high time preference VCs and serial dumpers and completely ruined retail involvement. Everything about the Solana ecosystem feels manufactured and inherently inferior to Ethereum. I would say inherently inferior to Cardano. And I actually think that once we start to see some scaling solutions get implemented in the Cardano network, Ethereum's actually going to be inferior to Cardano in terms of DeFi usage and application usage, and we've covered this in a number of other videos. But that tweet made a lot of sense to me. I don't happen to agree with the whole Ethereum one, although even still, one reason that big money chooses to onboard on Ethereum is because of the network uptime. They haven't gone down, and that's one thing that can certainly be said for Ethereum. Whereas something like Solana, nobody's going to put millions of dollars onto a blockchain that can just turn off and restart at will. And I think Cardano, having an uptime of nearly 4 years now since it came online, and still, given all the congestion that is being caused by SundaeSwap, we know if we look at orders, essentially they're processing orders from 1 day ago. People are complaining about this, but this was all, you essentially were told about all of this before it even came to fruition. SundaeSwap wrote a number of articles and warned you on a number of occasions that with the launch of SundaeSwap, there was going to be a lot of congestion. Quick word of warning right now, lots of people saying that they are going to ape into SundaeSwap, which went, I think it was up 880% or so. Remember, there's about to be a lot of SundaeSwap distributed through the initial stake pool offerings, and that undoubtedly will cause sell pressure, and in my opinion will cause the price to kind of go down and find its natural kind of level, if you will, like water. So that was something that's important to remember, because lots of people, there's this kind of Solana versus Cardano game taking place. For me, I've chose to be on the Cardano team or side for a number of reasons before Solana was even really in the question. And I do have huge issue with the fact that Solana is heavily backed by VCs and of course is heavily in bed with FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried's exchange, which I'm actually a big fan of. And I think that that's had a lot to do artificially with the price increase rather or in opposition with Cardano, that has done very well given the community, the love, the innovative nature and the sort of peer review hard work that's gone into it. And remember, we don't even really have a DApp ecosystem yet. We're number 6. At one point we were number 3, and I think we're on our way back there. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about, Cardano's price, of course, like we've spoken about on a number of occasions, and we're going to keep bringing this up because it is ultimately so important that people understand the macroeconomic landscape right now and why that's causing a risk-off environment, which is seeing money get pulled out of the markets, typically by big players, institutions, and so on and so forth. We know this is the case, and we've looked at it because we've looked at stocks, we've looked at the bond yield curve, and a number of other things that all suggest this. We've also looked at a number of things like CoinShare, which actually see and is typically an investment arm used by institutions. We're seeing an outflow from them because of the risky environment caused by the Fed. So that's why Cardano's price is selling off. Bitcoin, of course, is still that tide that rises and sinks all ships. But I want to show you something. Often, this is a video I made a year ago that got 65 views. We've been about on YouTube a lot longer than I think people realize. I think people thought that we just jumped on the sort of hype bandwagon, but we've been in Cardano for a long time. We've been in crypto for an even longer time. This is me saying that Bitcoin is following Amazon. Now this, of course, is the Amazon chart, and I'm going to fast forward it to the Bitcoin chart. This is the Bitcoin chart, and this is why we said this was the case. Now, Raoul Pal from Real Vision, I'm a big fan of the individual. I think his macro view on crypto is very accurate, and he also, like myself, compares blockchain and what's taking place with blockchain to the internet. It's a technological revolution. Some of those stocks that came out of the internet have done very well. In fact, some of them are the largest companies in the world today. And in the same way that some of the cryptos that come out of blockchain are also going to capture a huge amount of value and really implement themselves in the day-to-day life and see mass adoption and value locked into them as a result of that. Remember how hard it was to hold on to Amazon. This was the post-recovery when rates threatened to rise back in 2010. So in 2008, we're not quite there yet. In 2008, when Satoshi created Bitcoin for the exact reasons that the Fed were threatening to raise rates back then, because there was a huge amount of inflation caused by the bank bailout. I've done lots of studying into prior crashes and so on and so forth. You had the same sort of criteria take place. So in 2010, they threatened to up interest rates. This saw a huge market downturn. And of course, this is Raoul Pal showing you that this is what happened to Amazon. Now you can see you've got marginally higher highs here, which is typically quite a bullish sign. He's then saying, and here is Bitcoin post-recovery when rates threatened to rise. marginally higher highs. There's a sell-off caused on the back end of it. But ultimately, we all know how the story continued with Amazon. It's now one of the largest companies in the world and has gone on to do very well. And you can see if we go back to 2010, we can actually find this is the marginally higher highs that he's talking about here. Went on a fantastic run caused by 2008, which was a hugely inflationary event, caused a lot of money printing, which typically goes into assets. And then you have this forming. We see the rate hike threat over here, and then we recover from it and go on to continue, because inflation, rate hikes do not get rid of inflation. They just scare markets. And ultimately, it's kind of this whole ideology that, you know, one reason that property is such an appealing investment is because ultimately it's going to continue to go up against the dollar. Stocks hold the same sort of weight, sort of certainly value stocks that actually have real fundamentals behind them. And I think crypto poses the same sort of opportunity. So this was a very important video for me to get out. I'm not worried at all. So many people at the moment, whenever the price sells off, you always get some very salty individuals in the comment section. It's not nice to lose money. But if you've lost money in the crypto space, the chances are you've lost that money because you can't deal with the volatility and you're now looking for somebody to blame. In my opinion, looking for somebody else to blame for your own decisions, whether somebody said something or something else, no one's going to predict this market with 100% conviction and accuracy. It is weak to look for somebody else to blame. You own your own decisions in this game, or you are not going to do very well at it at all. And whenever there's volatility in these markets, I also, as somebody who has a large portfolio, feel that. But the reason my portfolio is where it is today is because I was willing to hold the volatility back through 2018, 2019, and 2020, and it's rewarded me. And I think that opportunity is still at hand today. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. Remember, the macroeconomic landscape is extremely important to have a good overall picture of it. We'll keep you right on that on our daily updates. You know, the fact that Solana's seeing issues and the network is just straight up shutting off is a huge attribute to the fact that Cardano has done things right and is going to continue to do so. Before I love and leave you guys, I just want to shout out the ALLIN Crypto stake pool. I also want to shout out the ALLIN Crypto Discord community. I had a wonderful time talking to each and every one of you today, and it's something I want to do a lot more of. The ALLIN Crypto pool, ALLIN is the ticker, is now minting blocks frequently, given the fact that we have 1.3 million Cardano staked. And once the SundaeSwap ISPOs finish, we're going to be above and beyond 3 million, in my opinion. This is a stake pool that I want to grow to be one of the top stake pools. And that's a vision and a dream that I'm committed to carrying out. Now, that is all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you have enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Hit the link in the description to join the Discord. We have the stake pool, ALLIN as the ticker. Go and give me a follow on Twitter because you'll get some more timely updates. I'm constantly posting on there and so on and so forth. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video.